How's it going there, folks? I'm Quinn of Snazzy Labs, and this is the unboxing of the Fujifilm X10 point-and-shoot camera. Now, as many of you know, I was a previous Canon T2i owner, and I loved the DSLR. It's great being able to swap out lenses, but as many of you also know, I'm going on a 2-year mission to Bolivia. Now, in Bolivia, I'm going to be walking and riding a bicycle, and because of that, I don't have the time or the room to carry around a big honking camera, right? So what my church recommends is that you bring a small point-and-shoot camera. But the problem with point-and-shoot cameras is the image quality sucks, at least in comparison to a DSLR. So there are a few cameras like the GX1 and the X10 that kind of fill this void. They're a point-and-shoot camera that's a little bit bigger, but have near DSLR camera video quality, okay? Now, this has a stellar lens, and this is why I picked the Fujifilm X10. There are some problems with this that I'm aware of, and I'll talk about them probably in my final review, but I decided to get this because this seemed like the best camera for the money. It was, well, it retails for $599 US, but I got it for $500 on eBay from Cameraland Incorporated, based outside of New York. Now, it took quite a while to get to me. I ordered it a week ago and it arrived today, so about 8 days shipping time, which is less than stellar. But without further ado, I will present to you the X10. There's no specs listed on the box, which really kind of betwixt me. I don't know why that is. They talk about what comes in the box. However, they don't have the specifications anywhere on the box. So we're just going to open it right up and get into this and see what we get. I actually haven't even opened this, so this is my first time as well. That's what she said. Okay, so right here we have some, wow, that's quite a big pamphlet actually. We probably have some user manuals. There's one in English and probably one in Japanese. Fujifilm is a Japanese company, and so that's what I'm guessing. I'm not going to open it. There's no CD or anything in here. It's just manual and some of that good stuff. We also find right here a not English user guide. I don't know what this is about. Is there English on the other side? I don't see English anywhere. There's a bunch of different languages, but I don't see English. It just tells you the buttons and their functions, so I'll take a look at that later. And of course, we have the Fujifilm FinePix software, which I intend to never install on my computer. So that comes as well. I'm assuming that's PC and Macintosh. Yep. Yeah, it is right there. Mac OS 10.3 to 10.6. Wonder if it works online. We also have a battery charger. This is a wall-style charger. Nothing fancy here, but, you know, it works. Plug straight into the wall and we're good to go. One thing I heard about the X10 is that the battery life is incredibly mediocre. As you can see, it has a really quite tiny battery. Luckily, Fuji's batteries are always really cheap, and you can find replacement batteries on Amazon for like $3 or $4 a piece. So maybe I'll pick up a few of those. But you have yourself a lithium-ion battery pack, only 1,000 milliamp hours. That isn't very much at all. So you got that, the NP50. I know a couple of different cameras use this. A lot of point-and-shoot cameras actually use this battery style. We have the camera itself, and we also have some goodies down here. We have a neck strap, which looks decent enough. We have some little clips and some leather straps to be able to hook the strap onto the camera without scratching the body. And we have, of course, a mini... that's one of the weird ones. That's the 5-pin USB cable. Not a mini, not a micro, it's 5-pin. This is pretty uncommon, but it also just runs off of an SD card, so you can plug it straight into your MacBook or your computer or your reader or what have you. So there's that. I have my little SD card right here. I have a 64 gigabyte Class 10 SDXC Transcend card. This is like $70 on Amazon. Transcend makes some of the best memory out there, and it's the best price. Almost as good as SanDisk, if not just as good as SanDisk, for like 20 to 30% less. I love Transcend, absolutely fantastic. Of course, we have the camera itself. There's a little seal here to make sure it's new, and it tore off, so now it's not. It's officially used. Down goes the volume, or the value of the camera. And we have the camera itself. Now, As you can see, this is a beautiful camera. Super retro, has a look of a Leica rangefinder, actually, like a 40 to 50, 60s camera, you know, looks like it's 60 years old, but I just love that really, really retro design, super groovy. Of course, we have the actual lens here. Now check this out. This is it's an aluminum lens cap. The whole body, well, at least this body part is aluminum, and the top parts are magnesium alloy, so that's pretty awesome. Now, the lens itself is where the stuff gets neat. This is as you can see, a very, very good looking, wow, and I'm surprised by how smooth that is. It is just crazy. It is a 28 millimeter to 112 millimeter lens with, get this, an aperture or a fixed focal length of 2.0 to 2.8. So you can get really, really great depth of field on this lens, which is really awesome, even when you're at 112. I mean, 2.8 at 112 is very, very uncommon, and you have to spend a couple $100s on DSLR lenses to get that same focal point on a lens that's that versatile. Now, the bearing in this must be really fantastic. It feels like a really high quality Canon L lens. I mean, that just the smoothness of this is fantastic. Really, really nice. Now, one of the cool features is the camera doesn't power on normally. Instead of using a power switch up here, all you have to do is turn the barrel, and once you hit that 28 millimeter thing, it turns on, which is pretty awesome, right? So we've got that. As you can see, I mean, this is no tiny camera. It is pretty decent in size. It's got quite a bit of depth to it. With the lens, it's probably, I don't know, 2.5 or 3 inches. However, you're also going to get good image quality. It's not any of the, cheaper camera stuff. Now, I'm not bagging on like the S100 from Canon or a couple of other cameras, because you can get really great cameras that do have that small footprint. But to get the best quality, you want something with a bigger lens. So that's pretty nice. I like the zoom on that. 28 to 112 is pretty good. Let's move up to the top here. We can see the Fujifilm branding. We can see Fujinon lens system. There's actually a little pop-up flash right here, as you can see, which is kind of handy. Just click it and it pops up. You have a hot shoe here, of course, that works with all of Fujifilm's accessories and, well, just any other accessories that you have, albeit like a flash or a mic or what have you. You have a bunch of dials here. Your regular, I mean, aperture priority, shutter priority, you got a bunch of this stuff, but this is the mode that the Fujifilm X10 is well known for, and it's the EXR mode. Now, this is Fujifilm's like patented kind of technology that actually, instead of using all 12 megapixels that this sensor has, it cuts it in half to 6, so your images are only 6 megapixels, but it makes sure that the latency between the images is really quite good. So you can get some pretty phenomenal shots without knowing your settings in this EXR mode. So I'll be interested to give that a chance. We also have the video mode. This does shoot 1080p video at 30 frames per second. Unfortunately, it doesn't shoot 60 frames per second in 720p. It just stays standard at 30, which is a little bit bizarre. Anyway, you got manual. Pretty neat, right? This is a function button, which can be assigned to anything you want. I'll probably assign it to ISO, as there's no dedicated ISO button. You have, of course, your shutter here, which is, again, fully aluminum, which is pretty awesome. And it's threaded, so you can actually use one of the retro-style triggers. Like, there's not a remote that you can plug into this, but you can use like one of the old like needle-style pins, which is pretty awesome. You have an exposure compensation dial here, which is pretty tough to the touch. It doesn't turn very easily, which is probably good. On the back here, we have a bunch of different buttons. We have, that lens, that screen wants to focus on that. Come on. We have our review mode. Focus. I gotta like cover this. It's tripping out. We have a dedicated white balance, which is really nice. That's not really usual in cameras this size and this price. On this side, we have a bunch of different dials. This is our main dial that we can use to navigate throughout in the UI. You can also go up and down with the directional arrow pad. You have this little toggle here, which is pretty nice. It just spins infinitely, which is pretty cool to toggle through different menus. What else? You have a dedicated RAW button, so you can choose between JPEG, JPEG and RAW, and then just RAW, which is pretty darn awesome. The fact that you can take RAW is pretty sweet, because then you can do post-processing. You can actually do processing inside the camera with a couple of different options in the EXR mode as well, which will be interesting to try out. All your other standard buttons, countdown, flash, portrait, all that other good stuff. What also you can do on this is what this this features is a super macro mode. Now there's 3 settings. There's regular shooting, macro, which is what most cameras have, which allows you to get, I don't know, about a foot away from your subject. And then you have super macro mode, which allows you to get less than 1 centimeter away from what you're shooting, which is amazing. I mean, you can see some crazy shots that come out of this camera that in order to get the same effect on a DSLR, you'd need a $400 or $500 macro lens, and this is just, twist and shout, which is pretty dang awesome. On the bottom, you of course have a tripod thread here. You have a couple of other things. This is the battery door where you can throw the battery, and of course the SD card. That's about it down there, and that's basically the camera. I'm not going to do a review on this quite yet. Oh, one thing I totally forgot to mention is the viewfinder. Now, this is not the kind of viewfinder you're used to. The X10, or excuse me, the X100, which is the superior model to this. It's the big brother of this, which costs twice as much at $1,200. It gives you the ability to have the classic rangefinder style, or you can press a button and it'll flip a digital OLED viewfinder in front, which is pretty awesome. This is only, there's no information displayed in this window. It is just straight through and through. Now, it does zoom with the lens, which is pretty awesome. However, one thing that's worth noting is because it is a classic rangefinder style viewfinder, you're not going to be able to frame stuff very well, especially in macro photography, because it's about only 80% of what you're actually shooting, which is kind of annoying, and I don't think I'll probably use this that much. It might be nice for landscape stuff or outside, but typically, unless you really know how to use your rangefinder and you spend a lot of time just knowing how it works, this is probably not going to be practical, and the LED will be a little bit nicer. LCD, probably. And then on the back here, you can see that it is made in Japan completely, 100%, which is really awesome. You just don't see that with cameras anymore. Most of them are made in China, unless you spend quite a bit more money to get stuff done in Japan or Taiwan or the States or what have you. So pretty awesome. This is the Fujifilm X10. I'm excited to try out the Fujinon lens. I'll give it a shot. I really appreciate you for watching. Thank you for staying subscribed, rating, commenting, all the awesome stuff you guys do. I'm Quinn of Snazzy Labs. See you in Monday's video. And as always, stay snazzy. See you later, folks.